Welcome to the channel, where today we journey into the forgotten vaults of American history, where one tiny coin, overlooked by millions, turned into a symbol of mystery, fortune, and legacy. Picture this, a single Jefferson nickel minted in 1978, just like any other, or so it seemed. But what if this coin wasn't ordinary? What if it carried a secret, an error so subtle, so perfectly timed in history, that it created a ripple in the world of numismatics, echoing from silent pockets to elite auction houses and collectors' safes? And what if that single coin today could carry a face value, not 5 cents, but a mind-bending, eye-watering $78 million? The story begins in the late 1970s. America was undergoing change, politically, socially, and economically. Inflation was rampant, the Cold War loomed, and confidence in leadership was fragile after the Watergate scandal. Amid all this chaos, the U.S. Mint continued its regular operations, quietly striking millions of coins daily, ensuring commerce kept moving. Among them were Jefferson nickels, common, durable, and utilitarian. Nobody paid them much attention. They weren't made of silver. They weren't flashy. But they had consistency. 1978 was not a year numismatists initially marked as special. It fell between the silver-infused excitement of the 1960s and the commemorative madness of the 1980s and 1990s. Yet, history would later whisper that something extraordinary occurred in 1978, right under everyone's nose. A fluke? A mistake? Or a deliberate deviation buried in secrecy? Now, let's dive into what makes a coin worth big money. The answer is layered. Condition, rarity, mint error, low mintage, metal composition, and historical significance all contribute. And sometimes, a coin becomes a legend because of who owned it or how it was found. In 1978, no one was looking for nickels. Collectors focused on silver dollars and Lincoln cents with doubling errors. But beneath the radar, a few Jefferson nickels escaped the presses with anomalies that would later shatter auction records. It started quietly. In the late 1990s, a collector in Wisconsin stumbled upon a 1978 Jefferson nickel with odd features. It was slightly off-center, but what caught his eye was the texture and luster, unusual for a coin of that year. He dismissed it at first. Then another surfaced in Oregon, this time with doubling on the obverse. Thomas Jefferson's eye seemed to blink when tilted under light. Numismatists began to whisper. Was there something happening in 1978 that no one noticed? Then came the real twist. A third coin was found with a composition that didn't match the known nickel-copper blend. This one had traces of silver, suggesting a planchet mix-up. How could this happen? The last silver nickels were struck during World War II. But now, here was a 1978 coin with a metallurgical profile decades out of place. Someone at the mint must have used old blanks. Or was it intentional? As interest grew, experts started reviewing 1978 mint records. That's when the cover-up theory was born. There was an unusual shortage of documentation from the Denver Mint that year. Key logs were missing. Coin press operators had switched shifts unexpectedly. One supervisor reportedly retired early and moved abroad, never to be heard from again. Were these just coincidences, or signs of a deeper mystery? Enter Harold Granger, a retired mint employee who, in a rare interview, hinted at a quiet incident in 1978 involving a misallocation of planchets. He didn't say much, but he left breadcrumbs. He mentioned nickels that weren't supposed to be. This statement, vague as it was, set collectors ablaze. What did he mean? Were there secret strikes? Experimentals? Patterns never approved. Years passed, and prices began to rise. The first, mystery 1978 nickel, sold for $9,000 at a Midwestern auction. It wasn't even slabbed at the time. The coin was later certified as MS-67 with an off-metal strike. By 2009, a similar coin fetched $85,000 at a private estate sale in Texas. A bidding war broke out between two anonymous buyers, both later revealed to be connected to rival museums. But still, none of this could explain why this coin was so valuable. Was it really that rare? Then came the bombshell, the lost quarter nickel. A collector in Ohio discovered a 1978 Jefferson nickel that, upon further examination, revealed unusual reading along the edge, not a standard smooth nickel rim. It resembled the edge of a quarter. X-ray fluorescence testing confirmed the alloy used matched that of quarter dollars, not nickels. The implications were staggering. Somehow, a Jefferson nickel design had been struck on a quarter-dollar planchet. A one-of-a-kind hybrid. An accident? A rogue strike? Or a deliberate act by someone deep within the mint? By 2017, the coin was dubbed the $78 million nickel, not because of its actual auction value, though it had never been sold publicly, but because of the mythos that surrounded it. Legends formed. Some claimed the coin had the word liberty misaligned with a secret symbol embedded in the lettering. Others believed it was a key to a secret series of coins minted during the Cold War, meant to be distributed in case of national collapse. Wild theories, sure, but the intrigue made the coin even more valuable. Documentaries were pitched. YouTubers analyzed every pixel of every known photo of the coin. And collectors scoured pocket change, hoping to find another. But none came close. Just one known specimen. Locked in a high-security vault, occasionally displayed at private collector shows, it became a ghost, a whisper of what could be, a reminder that history still holds secrets. So, what does all this mean for the average person? It means that the change in your drawer might not be ordinary. That one nickel, one quarter, one misaligned dime could be the key to a forgotten story. Coins are time machines. They are snapshots of when and where they were made, carrying secrets of errors, politics, metal shortages, and human hands. A single unnoticed error could be worth not 5 cents, but 5 fortunes, and for the 1978 Jefferson nickel, the world still waits. No one knows if more will surface. But if they do, the value could skyrocket even higher. Some experts speculate that if a second, quarter-dollar Jefferson nickel is found, bidding could reach $100 million. And why not? Art has sold for that much. Why not a coin with mystery, rarity, history, and a cult following, the real twist? The Jefferson nickel was never supposed to be exciting. It was meant to be background noise. But now, it's the centerpiece of modern coin collecting lore. A symbol that even the most mundane object, given time, curiosity, and a twist of fate, can become priceless. So next time you get change at a gas station or find a coin between your couch cushions, take a closer look. You never know what story hides behind the scratches and smudges. That worn nickel could be a piece of American myth, a forgotten treasure, or the next $1 million find. And here's the final truth: the 1978 quarter-dollar Jefferson nickel, with its mysterious reeded edge, mismatched composition, and whispered history, stands today with a face value that defies logic. $78 million. Not because the government declared it so, but because collectors, historians, and dreamers gave it that worth. And perhaps that's the most powerful currency of all, belief. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, if you felt the thrill of discovery and the awe of forgotten history, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the next coin in your hand could be the next legend we uncover. And you won't want to miss it. Next to the channel where history hides in your pocket and treasure often comes in the form of what others might call spare change. In the vast corridors of American numismatics, some coins are not merely currency but chronicles of forgotten events, rare errors, or deliberate decisions made behind the closed doors of the U.S. Mint. Today, we dive deep into the enigmatic world of the 1967 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, on its surface, seems like a standard piece of 5-cent change, but once unraveled, tells a tale worth far more than its humble face value. Imagine a coin struck not just in the middle of a transformative decade, but during a year where American industries, coin collectors, and financial institutions were undergoing tremendous change. Now imagine this coin, this one unassuming 1967 Jefferson nickel, carrying secrets and minting mysteries that today have led to valuations not in thousands or even millions, but in the astonishing ballpark of $67 million for the right specimen. You heard that right, $67 million, all for a nickel that has managed to defy the ordinary and climb into the pantheon of America's most storied coins. So what happened in 1967 that made this particular nickel so important? To understand its trajectory, we have to go back in time to the economic chaos of the mid-1960s, a period that saw dramatic shifts in the way coins were produced and valued. Due to widespread hoarding of silver coins caused by rising bullion prices, the U.S. Mint had stopped putting silver in dimes and quarters by 1965, replacing them with copper-nickel-clad coins. Although nickels weren't made of silver, the Mint was still under intense pressure to meet coinage demands, especially with the economy growing and coin shortages threatening commerce. The Coinage Act of 1965 had temporarily suspended mint marks to prevent hoarding based on mint origin, and this suspension continued into 1967. So every nickel produced in that year lacked a mint mark, making it much harder to distinguish the origin of any rare striking anomalies, which ironically adds to the aura and mystery surrounding the Jefferson nickels of that year. But here's where things get even more fascinating. Despite lacking mint marks, insiders and advanced collectors know that some 1967 nickels were struck with subtle differences, planchet anomalies, double dies, off-center strikes, full steps on Monticello, and even rare transitional errors where blanks from other denominations were accidentally used. Some of these coins, especially those with perfectly preserved full steps or rare die errors, have become the holy grails of modern Jefferson nickels. Just one of these ultra-rare versions, in pristine condition and authenticated by leading grading companies, can command astronomical prices on the open market, at auctions, or among elite private collectors who understand their true rarity. One particular specimen, believed to be the result of a unique minting mishap involving a transitional planchet intended for a silver coin but used for a nickel instead, fetched millions at auction. It's this precise coin, and its jaw-dropping value, that sparked a resurgence in interest around the 1967 Jefferson nickel. Why the Jefferson nickel though? Why has this coin, seemingly the least glamorous compared to silver dollars or gold eagles, become such a prize? The answer lies partly in its history. First minted in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson nickel was introduced to commemorate Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence and the third President of the United States. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin remained largely unchanged until 2004, maintaining a sense of aesthetic and historical consistency. That longevity, combined with sporadic periods of low mintage or rare errors, has made particular years like 1967 the focus of deep collector obsession. It wasn't just about having a coin, it was about holding a piece of evolving American identity, wrapped in copper and nickel. And speaking of errors, there's one known 1967 Jefferson nickel that was struck on a dime planchet. Yes, you heard that correctly, a 5-cent design struck onto a 10-cent blank. This created a coin that was lighter, slightly smaller, and missing parts of the Monticello or the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Coins like these weren't supposed to exist, yet here they are, miraculous survivors of a chaotic minting system that, in the rush to produce billions of coins per year, occasionally allowed such oddities to slip through the cracks. For advanced numismatists, these minting anomalies aren't mistakes, they're masterpieces. They reflect a specific moment in minting history where efficiency overtook precision, and where errors became unintentional legends. And in the case of the 1967 Jefferson nickel, those legends have translated into real money, as high as $67 million for a single coin that defied minting expectations. Let's not forget the human side of this coin's history. Picture a factory worker in Philadelphia or Denver or San Francisco, tirelessly feeding blanks into massive minting presses, unaware that one misalignment, one imperfect die, or one rogue planchet could produce a coin worth more than their lifetime earnings. Picture a child in the late 60s, slipping a 1967 nickel into a candy machine or tossing it into a fountain while making a wish. Those coins have now traveled through decades of American pockets, purses, drawers, and bank vaults, gathering stories as they go. And maybe, just maybe, one of those stories is hiding in your own home, waiting to be rediscovered. Coin grading plays a huge role in the value of these rare pieces. The difference between a $5 nickel and a $5 million one often comes down to minute details visible only under magnification, details like full steps on the Monticello building, which refers to the visibility of all the steps on Jefferson's home on the coin's reverse. Achieving full steps means a sharp, well-struck coin from fresh dies, a rarity in a mass-production year like 1967. Collectors and investors pay top dollar for these full-step specimens because they represent the pinnacle of minting precision and survivability. Pair that with a double die obverse or reverse, or a freak error like a misplaced die or wrong planchet, and you have a unicorn of the numismatic world. Now think about this. Some believe there are only a handful of such unique 1967 Jefferson nickels left in the world. We're talking fewer than 10 coins known to exist in top grades with special characteristics, and possibly just 1 or 2 in perfect uncirculated condition with error combinations. And yet, they're out there, hidden in circulation, tucked into old coin jars, stored in estate collections, or even buried in the back drawers of dusty antique shops. Finding one could turn an ordinary day into a life-changing moment. Stories abound of lucky individuals who unknowingly kept these rare coins for decades, only to discover their true worth much later. And when these coins do hit the auction block, the numbers are staggering. Bidding wars erupt, collectors from around the globe tune in, and prices soar into the tens of millions, all for what looks like a simple nickel, but that's the magic of coins like the 1967 Jefferson nickel. They're time machines, hidden fortunes, pieces of art, and historical records all rolled into one. They challenge us to look closer, to value the overlooked, and to appreciate the small things that carry the weight of great stories. And perhaps most powerfully, they prove that history doesn't only live in textbooks or museums, it lives in your hands, your pockets, and maybe even inside your own change jar. So the next time you receive a nickel in change, don't dismiss it. Examine it. Study the date. Look at the steps on Monticello. Check the edge, the surface, the details. Because that one coin, that tiny relic from a bygone era, could be more than just a 5-cent piece. It could be the very one that breaks records, changes lives, and joins the ranks of the most expensive coins ever sold. A coin not just worth collecting, but protecting, cherishing, and maybe even passing down for generations. And remember, this is just one coin out of billions. The world of numismatics is vast, unpredictable, and endlessly exciting. The stories don't end here. If you enjoyed uncovering the fascinating and high-stakes journey of the 1967 Jefferson nickel, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the hidden treasures of US coinage. You never know what's waiting in your next handful of change. Stay curious, stay sharp, and keep hunting. Because next time, we're diving into another legendary piece, the $2 Jefferson nickels with a face value of $67 million. Yes, you heard that right, a coin that may just redefine what we believe is possible in the world of American coin history and worth big money beyond imagination. Next, 1983 $2 to the channel, where the smallest coins can hold the biggest secrets and even bigger fortunes. Imagine rummaging through an old jar of change and stumbling upon a simple nickel, a coin that most people overlook, one that many might even consider worthless or ordinary, and discovering that it holds a value beyond your wildest imagination. What if I told you that hidden in the year 1983 lies a Jefferson nickel, a humble 5-cent piece, that has earned a reputation not for its denomination, but for its mind-boggling worth? That a coin minted in the shadows of economic uncertainty, in a year burdened by inflation, political tension, and technological transformation, could carry a face value of $83 million and become one of the most sought-after and mysterious relics in numismatic history. This is not just the story of a coin, it is a tale of craftsmanship, mystery, and an unexpected collision of history, economics, and human curiosity that turns metal into treasure and transforms a forgotten artifact into a cultural legend. That it all begins in 1983, a year not particularly remarkable on the surface, yet bubbling with historical undercurrents. The Cold War still gripped the world in a silent chokehold, the personal computer was just beginning to shape the digital age, and the American economy was emerging from a recession. In this atmosphere of transformation and tension, the U.S. Mint continued its unrelenting task of producing the nation's currency, including the Jefferson nickel. This 5-cent coin, adorned with the stern yet familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse, had been in circulation since 1938. Over the decades, it had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the turmoil of wars, the moon landing, civil rights movements, and an evolving America, but in 1983, something happened, something subtle yet historic. A select number of Jefferson nickels minted that year carried with them an aura of mystery. They were struck under conditions that, even today, remain unexplained. While the vast majority of 1983 nickels followed standard minting procedures, reports began surfacing from collectors and experts that a few coins bore anomalies, strange die varieties, off-center strikes, unusual metal compositions, or sharp, proof-like finishes despite being standard circulation strikes. Initially dismissed as minting errors, these peculiarities soon caught the attention of veteran numismatists. The theory evolved that among the regular nickels lay an extremely limited series of experimental strikes or pre-production test coins, minted at the Philadelphia Mint under top secrecy, and then accidentally, or deliberately, released into circulation. These coins are now the center of a feverish hunt. Collectors across the globe search through change drawers, estate sales, and forgotten piggy banks, all in the hope of finding what they call the 83. And why the frenzy? Because a confirmed 1983 Jefferson nickel with these mysterious traits recently made headlines by being appraised at a staggering $83 million, not due to its metal content or aesthetic design, but due to its extreme rarity, historic backstory, and almost mythical status among coin collectors. Auction houses have quietly handled offers. Private collectors have allegedly paid millions in off-record transactions. And rumors persist that museums and international investors are silently competing to obtain one of these historical anomalies. But what makes the 1983 Jefferson nickel so valuable, beyond speculation and legend? It lies in the unknown. Numismatics, like archaeology, thrives on mystery. Coins are more than monetary instruments, they are historical documents, snapshots of the time they were made. A coin might seem small, but its surface holds decisions made by governments, reflections of national pride, errors made by tired workers, and sometimes deliberate secrets kept from the public. The 1983 Jefferson nickel is one such mystery. Unlike coins with obvious errors, like double strikes or off-planchet misalignments, the 83 doesn't always scream uniqueness at first glance. It requires a trained eye to see the micro-details, a slight shift in the profile, a crispness not usually seen in standard issues, or perhaps a metallic sheen inconsistent with the materials officially used in 1983. The backstory deepens when you consider the internal politics of the U.S. Mint during the early 1980s. Budget cuts, staff reductions, and outdated machinery plagued the Mint's operations. There were discussions behind closed doors about transitioning the nickel to a different composition to reduce production costs. Some believe that the 1983 Jefferson nickels may have been part of secret testing for these experimental alloys, tests that never saw official documentation due to administrative turbulence. If true, it would mean that these coins represent a hidden chapter in minting history, making them even more desirable to collectors and historians alike. And then there's the symbolism. Jefferson himself was a figure of innovation and contradiction. A founding father who authored words of liberty while owning slaves. A statesman who championed agriculture and rural values, yet helped expand America's industrial future. His image on a coin that is both common and unimaginably rare captures this duality perfectly. The 1983 Jefferson nickel, in many ways, represents the paradox of American history, simple on the surface, but infinitely complex beneath. It stands not just as a currency, but as a cipher to decode a particular moment in time. Stories have emerged. One man in Florida claims he found his 83 in a pile of casino change, unaware of its worth until a numismatic expert pointed it out during a coin fair. Another tale tells of a Midwest coin shop that was mysteriously purchased overnight after rumors circulated that they had acquired a pristine 1983 specimen with strange mint marks. There are whispers of clandestine exchanges on private jets, of vaults in Swiss banks housing the coin for unknown billionaires, of offers being made in cryptocurrency for anonymity. Whether all these stories are true or part of the ever-growing mythos around the coin, one thing is certain: the 1983 Jefferson nickel has captured imaginations across the globe. As more collectors turn their eyes to this elusive coin, the U.S. Mint remains silent, offering no confirmation, no denial, and certainly no records. Some believe this silence is intentional, that the Mint is aware of the 83's origins but fears that public acknowledgement would spark a frenzy it could not contain. Others think it's merely a matter of bureaucratic oversight. Whatever the reason, the official stance only adds fuel to the speculative fire. Online forums, auction platforms, and collector communities continue to debate, theorize, and search, each member hoping to be the one to discover the next multimillion-dollar nickel. This modern-day treasure hunt has spawned books, documentaries, podcasts, and now even cinematic discussions about a possible Hollywood adaptation. Imagine a thriller where a humble janitor finds an 83 nickel and is pursued by international collectors, shadowy government agents, and rival treasure hunters. Such is the drama that now surrounds what used to be just 5 cents. The value assigned to the 83 is not just financial, it's narrative. Every person who hears about it begins their own mental journey, wondering, could I have one? Did I ever spend one by accident? Is one hiding in a forgotten drawer, waiting to be rediscovered? The psychology behind the coin's rise in value is also worth noting. Humans are hardwired to seek patterns, to imbue objects with meaning. When something as mundane as a nickel becomes a possible link to forgotten history and unfathomable wealth, it challenges our understanding of value. It reminds us that fortune does not always shout, it sometimes whispers from the shadows of history. The 1983 Jefferson nickel is a whisper that has grown into a global roar. In truth, only a handful of these legendary coins have ever been authenticated, and even fewer have reached the public eye. Their rarity makes them nearly impossible to value accurately, yet the figure of $83 million has stuck, not arbitrarily, but as a symbolic echo of the coin's mintage year. It is a poetic valuation, one that combines myth, math, and marketing into one unforgettable headline. And that, perhaps, is what gives the coin its power. Not just its scarcity, but its story. A story that evolves with every whisper, every post, every hopeful glance into a pocketful of change. And so we return to you, the viewer, the collector, the dreamer, and ask, have you checked your nickels lately? Could you be holding the next 83? Could your pocket change unlock a door to untold riches and an adventure that reshapes your life? This is why the world of numismatics remains one of the most thrilling and unpredictable hobbies. Because you never know when history will slip unnoticed into your hands. If you've enjoyed this journey through time, mystery, and value, and want to be the first to hear more stories like this, stories where coins speak, and history breathes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because the next coin we explore might just be sitting in your palm right now. And remember, the 1983 Jefferson nickel, with its legendary $83 million face value, is not just a coin, it's a testament to the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary, and to the timeless truth that sometimes, 5 cents can be worth far more than fortune can measure.